I don't. Okay.
I see Peter and Ben. There's
I only
Ben.
see their names. I don't see. There's Ben. Okay. All right. I think we're live.
Yay.
First, I want to welcome everybody to another Run Wild with Us, Ask Us Anything. And I want to apologize. It seems as though live stream that we use for all of our live streams, or StreamYard, was taken over by Vimeo. And so Vimeo has a completely different setup for how they manage live streams. And let's just say this has been quite an adventure. And hold on a sec. Peter just sent me an email saying, hey, I need the link again. And I'm like, but this time the link is only for you. Like, I actually don't have any control over this. It's really bizarre. Anyway, so while I'm trying to get Peter in, you can't be in the wings because. So how are you guys doing? What are you up to?
I'm doing good. I have two of the manuscripts back from my authors, and so I'm going through them very carefully. They're looking good. I love the changes that they've made, and they're really coming together. And I also had a chance over Saturday to help with the filming for the panel for the StokerCon, which was just fantastic.
There he is. Okay. Oh yeah, we had a lot of fun
It was
recording
really
that.
fun.
Yeah. So fingers crossed it actually it goes well. So I provided it to the guys at StokerCons. They have it all. So hopefully, yeah. But that was absolutely a lot of fun. So, and look, we've got Peter. Yay! I was telling everyone that our live stream company, StreamYard, got taken over by Vimeo, and everything they do is completely different than how Livestream does it. So this has been a week of trying to figure out how we're supposed to use stuff. So, and we can't hear you, so so you may want to.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, unmute. How's
there
that?
You go. Awesome.
Happy Thursday. I'm here. Thank you for letting me in. Let me play with others. So
you're gonna be nice and play with others. Well, that's good of you.
play with others part. Busy week. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Well, Cecilia was just talking about how she's having a good time at working with her authors, and we did a recording of a panel for StokerCon, which is this weekend.
Cool.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. We had a good time. So, and for anybody watching, if you want to ask us a question, which is the whole point of this, just go ahead into the comments section of whatever venue you're watching this. This should be live streaming on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and that might be it. I'm not entirely sure, but wherever you're watching this, please feel free. Go ahead and pop your questions into the comments section, because we are more than happy to respond. So, but yeah, no, my week has been. I live in Los Angeles. I am. This is not. I live far enough away from all the chaos that it's not outside my door, but close enough that you can hear the helicopters, and you can hear the police force. And believe me, when they started announcing like that they were sending in the Marines and they were sending in, I was like, why? This doesn't make any sense. This does, it's just bizarre, but
Yep.
but I'm staying inside because I'm smart enough to know just because I'm not seeing anything going on, it doesn't mean other people aren't going to decide to create something. So, so this has been fascinating. Hopefully you guys never have to go through anything like this. So Ben, what are you up to?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I'm running out of things to do. No, that's not right. The poetry anthology, Peter and I have worked on it. It's closer than it was. The Children of the Atomic Reservation is still in the hands of the author, taking his time to go through it and accept or reject my suggestions, and then he's tightening it up as well. He's doing some. I think he's the way that these sections are ending. He's changing a little bit, tightening them up, and then all set to do the one that I said I'd do in mid-August.
Okay.
I kind of budgeted that one to you, didn't I?
Yeah, you said, "Oh, good, Ben can have that one." You got me back for taking the Cambodia book for me. But that was weird that a lawyer intervened and said we need a timeline. That was different.
Oh yeah, and he was like, we need to make sure this doesn't go on forever. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, yes, we do.
How binding is that? I mean, agreement. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
It's a contract. So.
Did they amend the contract?
Huh?
Did they amend the contract?
We added to it.
Okay.
I told him, I'm like, the author had already hired a couple of different editors to work on it. So I guess her perspective is that it won't need a lot of editing. I'll just put it there. That's.
No comment.
Yep. I'm just leaving it alone. I was like, hey, as long as you're open to working with an editor, this is collaborative, then it's great, Ben
will handle it. Ben will take care of it.
Yeah. Well, he is now. Poor man. So most of the editors, honestly, I'm going to say about a half dozen of the people we made offers to, when I got on the phone with them, it turned out that they'd been like fans of ours for a long time. So they had actually targeted us to be the publisher for their books.
Awesome.
So yeah. I was like, wow, thank you. That's great. So
I'm glad we selected them.
yeah. Yeah, and they just talked on and on about how the high quality of stories that we put out. So yeah, that was very cool. Yep. So and we always have at least one who's like, I know it's done. It's like, all right, well, as long as you're willing to work with your editor, sure. Why not? Whatever you want. So, like, as long as you're not going to be a jerk. Actually, there was one guy who I upset, because I'm good at that. And he edited the contract so significantly that I was like, I just can't do this. You know what I mean? Like, this is way too much. And I went back and I checked like our notes from when we were acquiring it. Like, was it one that was like oh my God, we have to have it, the world will end kind of thing. And it wasn't. I know that's not a surprise, but he was like, well, sure, if you're not going to negotiate. And I just didn't even respond because I'm like, you're going to add everything from like, I want 1,000 free books to, the editor can't make any suggestions without the author's approval. Like, I was like, that's the purpose of an editor, goober. Like, this doesn't make it.
Suggestion is for.
Like, that's why this is here. Like, I mean, it was a lot of like, we can't, he has final say on the cover. I'm like, no, because every time I've ever had an author do that, they then come back with like their childhood photos and it looks like trash. You know what I mean? Like, it looks so amateur. And we have a very specific brand, or multiple brands, and we have very specific approaches to how we handle all of our cover designs and our formatting and everything. So no, that's not, you can't do that. I told him, I said, based on your feedback in the contract, I think you should just go ahead and self-publish or do a hybrid.
Yeah.
Which I guess that, wasn't what he wanted, but I'm like, if that's not what you wanted, then you shouldn't have come back with those kinds of,
Mm-hmm.
demands. So, oh well.
Oh well.
Yep. But my week has been full of stuff like that, where it's like, why is this happening? This does not make sense. So, and I think I'm editing 2 memoirs, 33 novellas.
Whoa.
I know, right? My own work. And then of course, I still have, I have my day job, and I have, and now we have, mass military invasion. So other than that, it's really quiet.
I'm supposed to, speaking of your own work,
Uh-oh.
you're about 2 weeks behind getting it to me.
Dude, I'm more than that. I think it's gonna be at least another month.
Okay.
Mm.
Then I'll let my mid-July know that he's on the fast track.
Yeah, he's on the fast track now. Cause I go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I go through 5 rounds of edits.
Yeah.
No, 6 rounds of edits, and I'm only on the second set. The second
well,
round.
if you do that, you don't need me.
Oh, bite me. You damn well know there's plenty that there is to
I was just
go.
checking to see if you were that kind of author.
How long have you known me?
Long enough to know what you would say when I said that.
Damn straight. I have been on more panels where they're like, what did you do when it, like a panel for like an anthology or like, like some kind of like a collection. And they're like, so, what was your process for, getting the book or getting your story in this? And and it's true, every single time I do it, I send it to like Ben or Peter or someone else I trust. And I'm like, is this complete shit? And then they come back and they tell me, and then I do massive revisions, and then I hand it in like this, like, dear God, don't rip my face off. And then I pretty much, unless they don't make any sense, I make all the revisions, and that's basically it. But every time I say, I hand it in like this, people in the audience look at me like, but they'll even say, but you're a publisher. I'm like, I know that. Duh. I'm fully aware of one of the many roles that I have. So I guess they expect that we're all supposed to be like, all right, so let me ask that. All 3 of you, when you are handing in a manuscript, like what's your process, and like how does it go down, and what's your when you're on the other end of you're being edited, what's that like?
I'm going through it now. I just finished a full length manuscript. It's 56,000 words, and that's like the best I can do right now. I don't normally do longer work. So that was like really hard for me to do, to get 56,000 words out.
Yeah.
And then I gave it to a really trusted friend of mine who we used to edit together on Flash Fiction Magazine. In fact, she still comes back to do editing for the contest. And I asked her to look it over as a beta reader, knowing she's tough. She's very tough and also like super, super smart and wonderful. And so she told me everything. And I was like, okay. And I wasn't even mad. Or anything. I was like, all right, so this is somebody who would be, it's for horror. So it's somebody in my genre reading this, giving me feedback. I was nervous to hand it into her because I knew she would be honest with me, which is what I wanted. And she came back with, a lot of praise, but then also like, do this, this, this. And I took every suggestion, every single one. Then I did it. And then I went back and I was like, oh, you know what? I could add this to it now. So I started adding some other things.
That's cool.
And I think I have it to kind of where I want it. And I might submit it to Running Wild Press. So I'm kind of looking at what goes into a query letter.
Okay.
And how would I put this together? And then I'm like, I would have to submit this to the submittable, and then everybody would look at it, and I'm like, Max, I wonder if Max would like it. I'm like, what's Max?
Oh, no, for real, because Max. So for context, we have a few interns now who are going through all of our submissions, and Max is. I mean, I don't think the man knows anything other than black and white. Like either, and he's very, 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 very honest.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And they're very, very. Our interns right now are Bridget and Max, and they are very good. They're both very honest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like Max to the point of like formatting.
Yeah.
Like he will come right out and just be like, "How dare this person submit something in this format? It makes no sense." And he'll give like detailed feedback as to why the formatting's crap. And but you got to respect him for it, right? Yeah.
So I'm gonna make sure my formatting is good. So I'm just still kind of sitting there trying to figure out, is it a right fit? I don't know. But I thought I'd try it anyway. So yeah, it makes you nervous. I mean, even though I've been published before, even though I've been on the editor side and whatnot, it's different when you do it yourself. And yeah, I have total respect for other people who edit my work or who look at my work.
Totally. How about you, Peter? What's it look like in the world of Peter, the writer, the author?
Well, I go over my stories painstakingly as well. And I have my author or my editor in-house who's very critical and very supportive.
And fabulous.
And fabulous. And 9.9 times out of 10 is spot on with her critique. So I tend to take many of her suggestions as well. And I do build on the suggestions because what fires in my brain to create more interesting interludes within the story, I build upon that as well. When it comes to submissions, I mean, I don't mean to sound tired, but it's just like I've worked on this for years, and I know the back and forth. I know how the submission process works, and I'm like, I'm partially like this. Here you go. What do you think of this? And I'm also partially like, just what do you think? Come on. I've written this. I know it's good. I wouldn't put it out there if it wasn't good.
That's fair. That's true.
I've been through the battlescapes. I've been through the hell. I know what it's like to be on my side. I know what it's like to be on the other side. And it goes back to I wouldn't give this to you. I wouldn't offer this to you if I didn't believe in it. Because believe me, I've gone over it 9 times from 1,000 to make sure it's as perfect as it can be. And what do you think? I'm not like Ben. It's like one draft, boom, here, take it. Pulitzer Prize poetry right there. I go over this, and when it's finally ready to go, I just say, here you go. Someone's going to take it. If you want to take it, great. If you don't, I'm used to the process. I'll just move on down the road. No offense taken.
Okay. And Ben, how about you? What is the world of Ben look like?
I hope somebody takes the time to find the mistakes, especially in poetry, because the mistakes are going to be typos, maybe verb or subject verb alignment. And if a line of ducks gets the singular verb because it's a line, not the ducks. And I hate that when it comes back and nobody caught it. But because you look at it, and I think we probably all do look at our own work maybe 1,000 times, and yep, that's it. It says exactly what I thought it was going to say because you think it says exactly what you want it to say. And so for the editor to come back and say, this isn't right, or let's change this, whether it's format or words or structure, whatever, it's good. I find it rewarding because they care. And most of the time, well, I'll go back to the novel that I submitted, and I knew it had a weak passage in it. I knew it wasn't the best writing I'd ever done. And the publisher, the editor, caught me on it. He said, this needs to be strengthened up. And I was kind of glad he did, because he was absolutely right. And I think if the author is honest, they'll know where their writing got lazy and lost energy, and say, okay, yeah, you're right. I can strengthen that up and make it better. And and as an editor, that's kind of what I look for, those places that you lost energy here. What do you really want to say? What's the purpose? And then I just turn it in anyway. First thought, best thought, Peter. First thought, best thought. Turn it in.
I honestly, I have to admit, I love it when I get feedback, which may sound like, especially when I think Ben and Peter, to your both, well, actually all three of your points, when you in your gut, you feel it when that feedback's spot on, and it's like, like part of you is like, and then a bigger part of, at least for me, is like, it's like I get energized, like, okay, now I know, like, they help me figure out that area that I, like, part of me knew was weak, but I didn't know why, or like maybe I kind of knew why, but I wasn't sure how to how to clean it up. And when an editor comes back with like suggestions on how to clean it up, or like they kind of pinpoint the spaces that have the most areas to really kind of bring things together, that for me is like because it's like, now you've got that arrow, right? Like they've given you a roadmap that you can get this not just across the finish line, but you can make it, really sing. So it doesn't mean I like it anymore when I hand it in and I'm like, Jesus. Because you never know how much that's, it could be all of just like, fixing typos, or it could be like, all right, we need to have a talk. I don't know what you think you're doing, but no.
Yeah, I could. Yeah,
sorry.
Oh, that's it. I was just going to say that I hear you on that, that relief that you feel. Like, so I hand in my manuscript sometimes to give to other editors because I'm out of ideas. Like, I've seen it so many times. I know there are problems with it, most likely. And an editor is going to see that, and I'll be like, oh, thank goodness, because now I know, what to do with it. Now I know what to do with this character. Like, I just got rid of this character because I didn't know what to do with them anymore. But somebody suggested, how about you do this? And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that would be a good idea to give that character a little bit more development, or that scene, whatever it needed. But yeah, it's a relief actually to get that direction.
Totally. And I want to go back to both what everyone actually vocalized, having someone in-house that you can go to, and they're on the same wavelength. right? Like, because I have gotten feedback from some editors in the past that it was like, what are they talking about? Like, did they read the same thing that I wrote? Like, this doesn't make sense. And I'll hand it to another editor that I know, and when the second editor comes back and like everything rings true, like all the feedback rings true, then I know I'm not on crack, right? Like, okay, I'm
Is that how
I'm
you know?
guessing.
Is that how
Well,
you
not
know?
crack. I may be on other things, but I'm not on crack. But like, there's some, because sometimes I think that the editor will just skim it, and then when they skim it, they miss certain nuances to the work, and so it's like, but I cover that on section, the third paragraph, page 4, blah blah blah. That is that not addressing what? And then that isn't. I don't have that happen very often. Typically, editors are usually really detailed, and if they do come back with like what ifs, it's usually things that really add some really nice layers to the story that I see that it not only would enrich that story, but if I chose to do follow-ups or like complementary stories, it would actually be really, it would really enrich it, like really bring it alive. So yeah. Wow. We are, if I'm reading this right, we're almost 27 minutes into it. I think we have one person watching, which is fabulous. I'm just happy someone's watching. That means it's actually broadcasting somewhere, because this week I had, I think, 3 or 4 different live streams that I was supposed to do. And all of them, except for this one, I had to either reschedule or like backdoor a way into doing it, because this is just, it's set up very differently than how StreamYard was set up. So hopefully this will work again next week as well.
So I just sent Curtis's 4th draft to him.
Oh, wow.
Yesterday. So he's gonna sit on it for like a week or 2 and send that back to me. I just got the actually the 6th draft of this 19th century boarding house novel for girls called Brooke, which I think the main character is going to be renamed. But I'm curious to see what changes she's made with the manuscript. I'm really looking forward to that. I've got the contest winner, the Drexel Award contest winner. I have a call with him actually after this call tonight. So I'm curious to see, to go over what my comments were and to give him a better idea of what the direction I think his story could take in terms of detail and purpose. And then I've got another story. I've got Curtis's short story collection after that, and I think I got one more after that. So I'm pretty full up, but things are moving along. So things are good.
Very nice.
I don't have any 90-day windows, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it was a really interesting call.
Until you gave me that story this week.
Huh?
I didn't have a 90-day window either till Peter said, yeah, Ben can take that one.
Yeah. It just felt right, man. I don't know.
Ben can do it.
It's like, oh boy, this will be fun. Oh gosh. Yeah, I walked him through like, well, this is how it usually happens. And so anyone who's watching or who watches the recording, typically what happens is we go through, we acquire a bunch of stories, and then based on everyone's availability, we will then assign the author to one of our editors. Now, our regular editors are me, Ben, Peter. Actually, Cecilia, you're pretty much getting on that regular list.
I'm getting there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now you have the availability, so.
I have the time.
And then like Cody is usually one of our, more on the regular than not. And then we have a pool of like, I want to say like 15 editors that we work with on a part-time basis. So, once we were able to identify an editor to work on with the author, then they, sit down and typically 9 times out of 10 you meet, and the editor will walk through the author, like what their process is, and what they can expect. And then I think, Peter's kind of inferred this, by referencing, the fourth and fifth, version. Every time it's different. Sometimes you go through like 2 rounds. Sometimes you go through 3 rounds. Sometimes you go through 1 round because it's really just like a lot of minor, edits. It's just different every time, which, I was trying to explain this to the lawyer, and he didn't. His response was, well, we have to have a time constraint to it. And I was just like, all right, well, I'll get back to you, because I need to figure out. Well, we need to figure out this out, because I was pretty honest with him about it, so. But I made sure that they knew, like, Ben, you wouldn't even start working on it till like August. So.
Wasn't it the old? Go ahead, Ben.
No, I was just going to say that's a ballpark even.
Mm-hmm.
That's I have said that I'm going to start work and have something finished by October, and then suddenly it's January. And,
right.
And that's not unusual. That's
yep. Mm-hmm.
It's not preferred, but it's also not unusual. Yeah. I mean, we don't like when it happens either.
I'd much rather say, if I said October, that was one day, it sounded really good.
Well, it's like these proposals are like a contractor. You got good, fast, and cheap. You only get 2.
Right?
Exactly. That's it. You don't get 3.
No, that's a good point. Yeah. And we always do good. We don't allow it to not be good. So, so right there, you gotta make a decision. And honestly, like I'm when I sit down with some of these authors who are like, I want to go through the contract and we need to discuss this. I'm like, okay. And then based on what their preferences are, I'm like, I think you need to go to one of the big 5, or, I think you really need to self-publish, or, because the things that you're demanding, it's not, we're considered a small publisher, right? But we're still a small publisher. So, the magic that you might get that with, a large publisher, we just, big, fast, or what, small, no, good, fast, or cheap. And we got to do cheap. And we're always good.
So it's not going to be fast.
It's not going to be fast. Not unless there's some like miracle. You're like on vacation and somehow this becomes your vacation read. That does happen. Not often, but it happens. But yeah, no, that's a great point.
And I think we put those time constraints on ourselves anyway, because we know there's one waiting. We no matter what the pace requires, there's one waiting, and you know that it's still there. So you get the one you have to rewrite, and it takes up a long time.
And the work we do makes a big difference too. With Cecilia's edits, and Ben's edits, your edits, and my edits, it really makes the work a better, more robust read than it is if it was good to go to a vanity press, because it's a different perspective. We bring different insights into the storytelling. We make different suggestions that the author might not have considered. So it's a very worthwhile process that you need to be patient for, because like you said, we are working day jobs, and our time is limited, and we're doing this, because we love to do it.
Right.
And every book that comes out from Running Wild or Junkyard Rooster or Trompe l'oeil, I mean, it's going to make a difference. It's going to mean something,
And honestly, that you might be surprised the number of authors who, when I talk to them, they're explicit. Like they picked us explicitly because they wanted to work with us, because they're fans of, they're fans of other works, or, they have friends who we've published who just raved about, working with us. I mean, I actually just got approached by someone who's one of the professors from my MFA program. And we've already published, I think, two other professors from that program, as well as multiple former students. And he said, I had to submit to you guys because, everyone just couldn't stop talking about how much they loved working with Running Wild, So, and that makes it sound like we just publish everybody from my MFA, which is actually absolutely not true. Which is why both Ben and Peter are laughing right now. Because I think we've all experienced people from our respective MFAs or undergraduates or, former publishers who submitted and said, I know Ben White. And even Ben sat there going, so?
I think we're protective of that, because if it comes in from somebody we know, we don't vote. I can catch myself being extra careful about even saying, yeah, it's good, I like it. What do you think?
Yeah.
I'd rather just say, what do you think, and not try to push it through because of a relationship with the author or wherever, and then you stick with it. Even authors that we've published before, we don't. They carry some weight, but not as much weight as you might think, because we look at that work that their latest work they've submitted. You had a great first book with us. Let's make sure that you're submitting the same stuff and not expecting favors because you're one of our authors. It still has to be that quality of work.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's a great point. I think we all do that. We all go out of our way. If somebody submits to us who we know, that we take ourselves out of the vote,
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I'll jump in and say, but if I jump in and say, you know what, I'll edit it. Like I'm good with us accepting it. It's because I know how to work with the author, and I know I have a vision for how we can make it to the quality of writing that we typically put out, but if I'll be honest, 9 times out of 10, I know I'm biased. Like if I'm friends with you, I know I want to see you happy, like, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to be right. It just means that, we may put something out there that it's okay, but it may not be the best work that you can possibly be. And if I know I'm not the right editor for you, because I know that we may not necessarily have that kind of relationship, or I can be really, really, really honest, then to Ben's point, I take myself out. So, which I'm sure is not what people who are going to be watching this want to hear.
Yeah, I just lost the 3 friends I had.
You had 3? Damn. Good for you.
One of them was a cousin.
Hey man, at least your cousins talk to you. My cousins don't talk to me. Did I ever tell you guys that story? No, it's for real. So I have cousins in Florida, I think they were in Fort Lauderdale, and when we were little, like I think I was like 5 or 6, when our Nana was still alive. My cousins and my aunt and uncle, for a while, they actually lived with our grandparents, and our grandparents had owned a shop, like a little grocery store off the beach in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah. And so, I was like little redheaded stepchild. I was like the only redhead in like 2-3 generations. So whenever my mom would take me to go visit our grandparents, like my Nana was like, "Oh my God," because I was the only one. I'm guessing she probably had like one of her parents was a redhead or something. Well, fast forward, we're like teenagers, and my Nana passed away when I was like, I want to say I was like 7, 8 years old, something like that. And there were specific people she named who had to be there for the spreading of her ashes. And it was like me, my mom, obviously her husband, and I want to say there was like a cousin of hers, right? So like what would that be, like a great aunt for me? Anyway, I don't know what the hell happened, but both of my cousins, Melissa and Charlie, were, let's just say, they both, like, they didn't necessarily imbibe, but they like to smoke. And and one day I get a phone call from them, like, like a join call, and they went off about how I was Nana's favorite, and they hated my guts because all she ever did was toad on me and all this. And like I'm listening to them go off, right? And so I waited until they were done. And I went, "You do understand that I lived in New Jersey, and so she only saw me like once a year for like a week. Like that's why she doted on me. I didn't live with her. Like it had nothing to do with." There should be no sense of like favoritism or whatever. And so they, neither one of them have like spoken to me ever since, which I'm like, okay. So, but yeah, so Ben, at least your cousins talk to you. Mm-hmm. So do you guys have any weird like family dynamics like that, or is everyone like friends?
Our family's so spread out. Like so I grew up in Ohio. I was born and raised in Ohio. And then, my parents left us, like after we got married and everything, they moved to Florida. So I'm like, hey, we're supposed to leave you. But they're in Florida.
Awesome.
And then my sister joined them. And then, but we were mostly in Ohio, and Nate's side of the family is Ohio. And then we moved out here to the Pacific Northwest. I have cousins in California and one cousin here in Seattle. And it's not like we get together all the time, but we kind of, we'll still talk to each other. We'll like do Facebook and social media and stuff like that. It's just that we don't really go visit each other so much. I don't know why. We just don't. We just don't tend to do that. Now, Alex will, my son, he loves to travel. So he'll go everywhere. He'll be like, he'll ask, a family member, "Can I just go and visit you?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, sure." So he does. He's our representative. He goes and flies everywhere and tells everybody hi. So that's kind of fun. But
that's awesome.
We just tend to not get together a whole lot because of the distance.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
How about you, Peter?
When I was growing up, we both my families, my mother's parents and my father's parents lived in the Chicago area. So we would do Christmas at my mother's house. My grandfather died before I was born, long before I was born. And then we did Christmas Day at my father's parents' house. And we just did that growing up. And then when I grew up and when we all grew up, we just kind of drifted apart. We had Christmas at my condo for a couple years, but then my parents basically moved to Florida, and the whole kind of Christmas thing just kind of disintegrated. So yeah, so I haven't had contact with my cousins or my uncles or my aunts in a while now. So
that makes sense.
I just kind of got out of my wife's family, so it works out.
There you go.
They put up with me.
How about you, Ben?
It's a family full of interesting dynamics.
Wow, that was super polite.
Yeah, it was. There was a farmhouse that burnt down in 1960. I was born in 61. In 1962, instead of building back the farmhouse, we moved to Alaska from Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
And then when we came back, the marriage didn't. So you can imagine being raised in South Central Kentucky in the 60s by a single mother. And the social attitudes, many of which are captured in the forthcoming book, Down Along Highway 90.
Yes, it is.
So we'll talk about that and about people in place. But the older three, there's 6 children, and I'm the 5th of 6. The older 3 and the younger 3 are separated by 6 years. And we think there's a miscarriage in there, but who would know? And
oh, wow.
But so it's just interesting dynamics. And there's like Cecilia said, you don't visit because the distance. In my case, the distance is because we don't visit. So this is a little twist. There's a reason to get out of South Central Kentucky when you get a chance.
Wait,
although I have 2 sisters still there and another sister in Tennessee.
Do you mean you took every excuse you could to get out of South Central Kentucky? Or are you saying that we should all visit South Central Kentucky?
Yeah, it's a good place to be from. Somebody said that. That's a good place to be from. And when you write Jesus is an infidel, your cousins don't talk to you; they pray for you.
Oh my!
They stay connected.
That's kind of awesome, though.
I could go on, but I
could go on. Oh.
Yeah, I have a humor blog that I keep, and so I will post it on Facebook and social media for family to read. But I stopped sending them all my horror because they don't want to read my horror stories. But they will read my blog that's just, humor, and like it's a DIY blog. So it's like cooking and home improvement projects and, things that I'm not really good at them or anything. So that's why it's funny, I guess. So yeah. And, Nate is in them and Alex as well. So it's kind of like a way for the family to keep up with what we're doing. And so they get our stories and everything, but actual horror stories and other things that I write, I just don't send it to them.
Actually, you know what? It's interesting. The number of horror writers I know who are actually also excellent humor writers, it's pretty high. So definitely.
Yeah, if we're not scared, we're laughing.
It's definitely worth checking out. Like if anyone watching, if you have a friend who does horror, definitely see if they've got any humor coming. And if
Yeah.
they're humor, ask them if they do horror, because you might be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. I do like horror comedies. Those are my favorite.
Oh, yeah?
And
Okay, cool. What's your like all-time favorite horror comedy?
Ready or Not, I think that's the one where the bride, they're doing they it's the board game family, and she marries into the very wealthy board game family, and there's this horrible um, game that she has to play, and it's deadly, and like it's just crazy. And so, she is the final girl, and it's bloody, and there are fires, and it's just a mess, and family dynamics, and the whole bit. It's a wedding. It is the worst wedding ever. Wedding. It's after the wedding, actually. It's the reception. So yeah, that's that one was pretty funny to me, I guess, which is horrible, but also it was really funny too. But yeah, Ready or Not, that was my favorite.
That's awesome. Sorry, I'm still figuring out, like,
Over in London.
that's better.
What happened?
Now I can actually see you.
It felt like the screen was so like it was all. Oh, look, our Nate's right there. It looks so nice.
I know, right?
I can finally see it.
Oh gosh. Like I said, I'm still learning this. So, hopefully I'll have it nailed in a couple of weeks, but yeah, it's definitely been fascinating. Poor Cecilia and I were sitting in the backstage going, how do we do this?
I was about ready to make a sign. I can't hear you.
I know.
Camera. I was like trying to grab a piece of paper. I was like, I should probably tell her I can't hear her.
Yeah, it's been fascinating. Well, hopefully oh, sorry, that was called my cat's butt.
That was so funny. Was that the tail that just went by?
Yeah.
Aw.
She's just like, how dare you speak to other people?
Aw.
I know I'm a demon. And then for anyone who's a horror writer, StokerCon is this weekend, and I mean, like, everyone I know, well, a lot of people I know left for it. It's in upstate New York, right? I think that's right. And if you are a horror writer or you like horror writers, honestly, huge names show up to StokerCon. I mean, seriously, like really, really big name horror writers. So it's a great chance to meet them, learn from them, hang out with them, and just learn from other people. A lot of really good people are there. So, yeah. Okay. So what was like your all-time favorite conference you've ever been to?
I mostly did, like, years ago, like MLA. I did like MLA and those kinds of things, and they were not fun. They were just they're a little on the cold side sometimes, and they're just you do it because it goes on your resume to some extent, and I mean, sometimes you do connect with people, but it's not really. I don't know. It just doesn't always feel friendly. But I'm really enjoying. I really enjoyed StokerCon. That was fun. I mean, even though it was just recorded, it was the three of us, or the four of us, and I got to meet people I didn't know before. So I'm really actually enjoying the writers' conferences. People do mingle. People do talk to one another. It just seems to be more of a networking, um, you know, atmosphere. So I'm liking the writers' conferences.
And we just submitted to a bunch to AWP, Los Angeles Comic Con, I want to say there was one or two others that we sent
Are you doing
into.
San Diego Comic Con?
I will be. I think I'm on 2 panels for San Diego Comic Con. I had submitted a bunch, but they basically let me know they had gotten so many that I think they had like pre-selected for almost the entire set. So I'll just keep sending them every year, you know. But yeah, no, I'll be there, and I actually use it as an opportunity to promote books that I think would go well for those audiences. So like for San Diego Comic Con, I have postcards of now I'm just looking to see if I have one in like arm's reach. I have postcards for Scott Leva's
Spider-Man.
Yeah, for Spider-Man.
Yeah, that would be
And
good.
it includes a QR code for it. So then, you know, they can just go ahead and, you know, scan it and get it right there. And I think Scott's actually going to go on Saturday of San Diego Comic Con. And then, believe it or not, people get hyped when he signs the postcards, which is kind of fun. So, yeah. And then I'll be at ALA, American Library Association's convention in Philadelphia, and 2 of our authors, Leonard Appa, and of course I'm not going to remember who because I invited them at the last minute. But yeah, 2 of our authors are going to be there on Saturday and signing their books. They have a half-hour slot to sign the books that they have that are coming out in, I believe, like August or September of this year. So that'll be a lot of fun. And I do the same thing for that. I actually use that as an opportunity to go around to all the other vendors and say hi. Because yeah, it's a great way to like get some FaceTime with like Indie Reviews and Kirkus Reviews and Publishers Weekly and, you know, a lot of the small publishers as well. And then kind of see how you can, you know, help each other. So, and that's another one. You'd be surprised the number of people who get really psyched when they get a postcard that's just basically us. And I just, Amir just created postcards that I'll send you guys the drafts of that has all of our imprints on it, and then a QR code that takes you right to the Running Wild, the main website. So it's super fun because it promotes all the imprints, if that makes sense. So
very cool.
Yeah, and with that, it's 6:00 Pacific time. So 9 p.m. 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 p.m. Eastern time.
9 o'clock.
As always, huge thank you guys for joining, and thank you for your patience because I know this was a little bit challenging, but hopefully next time will be it'll be a nice smooth ride.